Hi everyone. We're here to talk about the this light, the Rotolight NEO 3. So um, so this video is to demystify, so to speak, of like how the max power and how that works in flash mode. LED mode, we're not gonna the continuous light mode. We're not gonna talk about it because I think that's fairly obvious. The flash mode is the one that probably confuses a lot of people. I myself included. I'm not gonna say that what I'm about to say is 100% accurate because didn't come it didn't come from Rotolight themselves, and I'm just figuring this out through trial and error. Now, before anything else, I just wanted to again once clarify that this thing is something that I bought. Rotolight did not sponsor me this. Like nobody's giving me anything. I purchased this with my own money. So you'll be rest assured that my my opinion about the product is not influenced in any way. All right. So, um, so the way it works right now is that you have this um, max settings right here, and then you have the flash duration right here. Now, also here, you have the color temperature that's currently set at 4600 Kelvin. You can see right now because I'm using an iPhone. It's doing auto exposure, whatever. So a few things that you'll find this in the Rotolight manual. They will say the maximum power of the Neo 3, like the maximum output, can only be achieved at 4600 Kelvin. So it's not 5600, which is daylight, which kind of understandable since this is a bicolor LED. So there's bias towards in order to achieve that light, it has to be at a certain temperature. So the other thing that they mentioned in the manual is to set the so this part, the max plus or whatever, these are the power output in flash mode. Max plus, you can actually set it in like you could change. Obviously, you could change the settings in here, but we're not going to talk about it today. Topic for another day. What we probably want to focus on is right now for this video is this right here, the one that says 1/58 of a second. That is the flash duration. Now, if you if you are familiar with any of flash duration, that is the amount that is the time that is measured for outputting this particular power. Like that is the amount of time that is needed to achieve that full power. So that means to output them. So this is essentially what they, if you want to get more technical, this is the T1 flash duration. Now I don't know that for certain, but that's what I think it is. And I'll prove it to you later why that is. So again, for the Neo 3, in order to achieve the maximum output, you have to set it at 4600 Kelvin, max plus, and then at 1/58 of a second. So if you notice, if for the ones who are understanding what a flash duration is, 1/58 of a second is not very fast. So you could forget about, like, using this one for freezing motion if you want to achieve like maximum output of this flash, again in flash mode. So we're going to prove later like why this 1/50th of a second needs to be there in order to achieve maximum output. Now they say that you can adjust this, you can adjust the flash duration like, without, like, at max power you could adjust the max duration. But as you will see in the next part of the video, that's actually a lie. You cannot shorten the flash duration without affecting the max output of the flash. All right, continuing on. So we are using a Nikon Z9. We have the Rotolight already positioned. We have the subject, like, as obviously it's a Superman action figure, and yeah, and I'm using a 105Z macro for this test, and I'm going to show you that the flash duration at maximum output for the Rotolight NEO 3 needs to be at 1/50th of a second. Now, in the manual, they sort of, like, they deceivingly, I think, tell you that you need to set it to a 1/50th of a second, and max, so that it will adjust the flash duration accordingly, as you, so that if adjusts the flash duration accordingly depending on the shutter speed that you set it with, right? So the other thing that we need to keep in mind is that normally in flash photography, right, the shutter speed has no bearing on the exposure of the subject, right? So I set it to whatever, as long as you are within the sync speed of the camera. Any setting any shutter speed setting on the camera will yield the same exposure, right? So it all plays with the flash duration. Hopefully I'm making sense here, but again, I cannot stress this enough, that for the Rotolight, the max, you cannot, in order to get the maximum output, you cannot be faster than its flash duration of 1/50th of a second. Otherwise, you affect the max output. Here we go. So right now it's at 1/50th of a second, which is what the Rotolight setting is. F11, so that, I already did an exposure of this earlier, so that it would expose properly. All right, here we go. Okay, as you can see, right, 105, F11, perfectly, like, reasonably perfectly exposed, right? Now, watch what happens when I set this to 1/100th of a second. As you can see, this is the 1/100th of a second. This is the previous one. As you can see, it's a different exposure. So, like, 1/100th of a second is obviously like exposed lower than 1/50th of a second, because that proves you essentially that at max power, in order to achieve max power, you need to be 1/50th of a second. Now let's go the other way, right? So if I set it to anything slower, right? Let's set it to 50 again, so that, all right? So brighter, not brighter, brighter again. So right here it's 1/50th of a second, so it's fine. Now if we set it to anything slower, let's set it like 1/8 of a second, reasonably slow. As you can see, it's pretty much the same on that. Like, I mean, there's some little, but it's negligible as opposed to this one, which is fairly obvious. But this one, it's pretty much the same in exposure. So yeah, I guess I know it's like, you need to know a lot of like, knowledge as far as flash photography, flash duration, or whatever. But hopefully this helped demystify like how Rotolight sort of deceivingly tells you like how it would achieve its max power output. So the bottom line is, yes, you can, like, it has, like, reasonably powerful enough in flash mode, but the caveat is you need to set your shutter speed to 1/50th of a second or lower, and you will need to set the temperature, like, the color temperature to 4600. That's the only way you could achieve the maximum output. And just so you know, I don't hate this product. Actually, there's a lot to like about Rotolight. I'll show it probably in another video. I like it. I mean, I don't hate it. Like, I like it enough that I bought two of them. I also bought the Elinchrom flash trigger just to use it for these lights. That's the extent of how much. I mean, I don't love it, but I like it enough that I would use it for enough for my usual photography thing whenever I get around the chance to doing anything in photography. All right, there you go. Hopefully this helps for any of the 10 users out there using Rotolight for flash photography.